Have you ever had a moment where everything around you seemed to fall apart, but instead of reacting, you paused? Not out of fear, not out of confusion, but because something inside you whispered, "Wait, think." In that silence, something rare was born. Not panic, not weakness, but clarity. In a world that demands instant answers and louder voices, this clarity is your hidden weapon. Not brute force, not speed, but stillness that sees through the chaos. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't chase every noise or fight every fire. They observed. They stepped back. They moved with quiet calculation. Because they understood, the most powerful move is not always the most visible one. Sometimes it's the move no one sees coming. Strategic thinking isn't about cold calculation or trickery. It's about seeing clearly. It's about pausing long enough to know where you are, where you're headed, and what truly matters when everything else gets loud. Whether you're facing betrayal, uncertainty, or just the noise of daily life, your ability to think like a strategist might be the one thing that sets you free. So if you've ever felt like you were stuck in survival mode, always reacting, never quite ahead, this is your moment to change that. Not by force, but by choice. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Think before you react. Have you ever said something in anger, only to regret it the moment the words left your mouth? That instant where emotion overtakes judgment, where impulse becomes action. It's a moment we've all lived and paid for. But the truth is, your greatest power isn't your intelligence or your speed. It's not even your experience. It's your ability to pause, to think before you move. That pause isn't weakness. It's the birthplace of true strength. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is the foundation of the strategic mindset. It's not reserved for generals or CEOs. It's a daily way of life. To think strategically means to see beyond the moment. To ask yourself, what outcome do I truly want here, and what action will lead me there with the least unnecessary cost? Imagine this. A man gets an email that insults his work. His instinct is to fire back immediately, prove his worth, defend his pride. But then he stops. He thinks. He waits an hour, rewrites his reply with clarity, and sends a message that not only resolves the issue, but strengthens his reputation. One reaction is emotional, the other is deliberate. One feeds the fire, the other puts it out. That's the power of a pause rooted in philosophy, not impulse. Strategic thinkers don't rush because something feels urgent. They don't speak just because the silence is uncomfortable. They observe, they assess. They step back from the battlefield of emotion to see the entire terrain. They ask, what's the consequence if I act now? What unfolds 5 moves ahead if I stay silent? What is within my control right now and what isn't? In a world that celebrates speed and spectacle, strategy is an act of rebellion. Everyone's shouting, but you're listening. Everyone's sprinting, but you're pacing. While others are reacting blindly, you're moving with precision. And when things go wrong, as they always do, you don't spiral. You don't lash out. You breathe, you think, you adjust. The reactive person survives the day. The strategic one builds the future. Now ask yourself, what kind of person do you want to become? One who is tossed by every wave of emotion, or one who sails with direction no matter the wind? Strategic thinking isn't cold or mechanical, it's deeply human. It's what gives you back your freedom in a world that's always trying to steal your attention. So the next time life confronts you with chaos, don't rush to respond. Stand still. Let others panic. Let others chase. You, the one who pauses, will be the one who shapes the outcome. And in that moment, you won't just be reacting, you'll be commanding. And that's where we now turn to the next essential practice that transforms this pause into clarity, defining what truly matters. Chapter 2. Define what truly matters. Have you ever caught yourself running all day only to realize by nightfall you went nowhere that truly mattered? You were busy, yes, but were you aligned? Were you clear? Most people spend their lives reacting, chasing noise, distractions, urgency. But ask them one simple question: what do you really want? And the answers crumble into smoke. They'll say, I want to be happy, or I want to be successful. But that's not direction, that's fog. Seneca once warned, if a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. This is the danger of vagueness. When you have no target, every distraction feels like a destination. You confuse movement with meaning. You lose months, years, entire chapters of your life simply because you never defined the end. Clarity is not a luxury, it's your compass. It tells you what to pursue and what to ignore. Without it, you are not choosing your life. You are drifting. Imagine a young man named Lucius. He says he wants freedom, so he takes a high-paying job, works long hours, buys the car, the condo, the clothes. 10 years pass, and he feels trapped, bound to a life he never consciously chose. But what if, at the start, he had defined that freedom clearly? I want to work 4 days a week, earn enough to support my family, and have Friday afternoons for my son. That one sentence would have changed everything. His choices, his habits, his battles. That is the power of clarity. It sharpens strategy and silences noise. Strategic thinkers don't just dream forward, they build backwards. They take a vision and work in reverse. Suppose your aim is to write a book. Picture the final moment, holding it in your hands. Now trace your steps. Before that, editing. Before that, completing the draft. Before that, writing chapters. Before that, sitting down to write. 1 simple hour. You just broke a dream into direction. This is how clarity turns mountains into paths. Not with force, but with precision. Another man, Gaius, wants financial independence within 10 years. But instead of saying, I want more money, he sits with the numbers. He defines what independence means for him. Then he calculates what must happen each year, what to earn, what to invest, what to eliminate. He lists the skills he must grow and the temptations he must resist. And from that, he sees not just the dream, but the cost and the steps. That's clarity with teeth. And it changes how you live today. But clarity without discipline is still just noise. You must build priorities that match your endgame. Not every task deserves your energy. Many things will seem urgent, but lead you nowhere. So each day, ask, is this aligned with what I truly want? Or is it just noise in disguise? The Stoics teach us to filter what we give ourselves to. Marcus Aurelius said, ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? That one question can protect years of your life. Write your strategy in a single sentence. Read it daily. Let it guide what you start, what you stop, what you refuse. Because once you are clear on your why, the how begins to unfold. And from this stillness of purpose, you become dangerous, not by chance, but by choice. Now, with your compass in hand, it's time to take the next step. Learning how to gather what you need without drowning in the flood of information. Chapter 3. Learn before you move. Have you ever been caught in a situation where you had to act fast, but realized you didn't know enough to act wisely? That sinking feeling of stepping forward blindly, hoping it works out. Now imagine this. You're standing on unfamiliar ground, a storm gathering in the distance, and every move counts. Would you run ahead, or would you pause to study the terrain? Most people rush in, thinking that action alone leads to success. But as the Stoics knew, action without insight is just noise. And in the words of Epictetus, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. True strategic thinking begins not with action, but with understanding. The wise gather information like a soldier prepares his shield, not to hesitate, but to survive and strike when the moment is right. To learn before you move is not hesitation. It is the discipline of those who value results over drama. If clarity is your compass, then information is your blade. It sharpens your aim, helps you see through confusion, and allows you to act without waste. Take the story of Tiberius, a merchant in a crowded market filled with promises and noise. Instead of launching his new product on impulse like his competitors, he spent weeks listening to customers' complaints, watching what sold, and studying where others failed. When he finally moved, he offered something no one else saw coming, and his success seemed effortless. But it wasn't luck. It was preparation. Insight was his edge. This is the lesson. Don't guess. Observe. Don't react. Prepare. But preparation must be focused. The disciplined mind doesn't drown in data. It filters ruthlessly. Ask yourself, is what I'm learning truly relevant to my current challenge? Is it recent or outdated? Is the source credible or just loud? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle is not the unknown, it's your unwillingness to seek the right knowledge before acting. Avoid two traps, waiting forever for perfect certainty or leaping recklessly with nothing at all. One paralyzes, the other burns you out. Instead, ask this: what do I need to know to make a solid move today? What is the minimum truth I must gather to act with reason rather than impulse? Then move, flexibly, but with intent. And once you've gathered your information, turn it into insight. Don't just collect facts like trophies. Ask, what patterns are forming? What do others ignore that I can see? Suppose you're preparing to shift careers. You don't just read articles, you study trends, talk to people inside the field, and identify what real value you can offer. Suddenly, your next move isn't a guess. It's a strike guided by understanding. The Stoic doesn't seek knowledge to impress, but to prepare. Every book you read, every conversation you have, every quiet observation you make becomes a weapon in your arsenal. And one day, in a moment of urgency, what you've stored will rise to the surface. That's not intuition, that's earned wisdom. So ask yourself, what do I need to understand better right now? What knowledge would unlock a smarter move this week? Learn just enough to act wisely. Then refine as you go. Because once you start seeing clearly while others act blindly, you don't just survive, you dominate. And in the next chapter, you'll learn how to see not just the facts, but the full landscape. Chapter 4. See the whole board. Have you ever made a smart move only to realize it set off a chain of problems you didn't expect? Like you solved the fire in front of you, but ignited 3 more behind your back. That's what happens when you focus only on the next step, instead of seeing the whole field. In life, business, or any human interaction, those who dominate are rarely the ones who react fastest. They're the ones who see furthest. Marcus Aurelius said, "To see things as they are, not as they appear to be, that is wisdom." This isn't just about seeing what's visible, it's about understanding the forces behind it. A Stoic mind zooms out. It observes the moving parts, the hidden motives, the unspoken alliances. like a general overlooking the battlefield, not for who's shouting loudest, but for where the real leverage lives. Picture Cassius, a merchant preparing for a major trade partnership. His competitors rush to sign flashy deals. But Cassius pauses. He maps the players, who controls the ports, who influences the tariffs, who's silently pulling strings behind the scenes. He studies past trade patterns, identifies weak points in the supply chain, and aligns his offer with a strategic ally. When his plan unfolds, it looks effortless, but it wasn't. It was clarity born from seeing the board, not just the piece in front of him. Big picture thinkers understand that nothing operates in isolation. Your health affects your focus. Your relationships affect your decisions. Your habits ripple into your future. Strategic vision means asking not, what's happening now, but how did this begin? Who benefits from this? Where does it lead? A Stoic doesn't panic in storms, because they've already studied the clouds. Before you act, ask, what's the pattern beneath the problem? What chain reaction might this choice trigger? Who else is on this board and where are they standing? When you think in systems, in ripple effects, in layers of time and cause, your strategy becomes less about control and more about insight. Because when you can see the board, you don't need to fight for every inch. You simply move where others haven't learned to look. And in the next lesson, you'll learn the secret that makes this vision even more powerful: anticipation. Chapter 5. Anticipate before it happens. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like someone else already knew how it would all unfold? While others fumbled for answers, they moved calmly, as if the outcome had already been rehearsed. That's not luck, it's anticipation. The quiet discipline of seeing beyond the moment. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The strategist doesn't wait for the obstacle to arrive. He predicts where it will rise and prepares before it ever appears. To anticipate is to think beyond the next step. Picture a game of chess. One player makes moves, the other shapes the game. The difference lies in foresight. A Stoic mind doesn't ask, "What do I want now?" It asks, "What will this action demand of me later?" It plays forward. Like a man who chooses to leave comfort today, knowing it will purchase him freedom 5 years from now. Or a woman who declines an offer that flatters her pride because she sees it leading to a life misaligned with her core. These aren't accidents. These are moves made from clarity, not compulsion. But anticipation is not prediction. It's preparation. Life bends in directions no one expects. That's why the wise don't just craft one plan. They scenario plan. They train their minds to consider 4 paths: the likely path, the best possible outcome, the worst they can stomach, and the wild card they'd never predict. Think of Lucilla building her business. She doesn't just aim for profit. She asks, what if demand spikes? What if supply breaks? What if I burn out? And she crafts quiet moves for each. Not from fear, but from command. Like a Roman general not surprised by the storm because he studied the clouds days before. And what if plan A breaks? The Stoic already holds plan B, C, and D, not because he doubts himself, but because he respects fortune. Epictetus reminds us, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. A contingency is not defeat, it's armor. When you know you can pivot without breaking stride, courage becomes a natural state. If one path closes, you don't collapse, you redirect. You move like water, calm, shifting, unstoppable. Even more powerful, anticipating people. Every challenge is shaped not just by events, but by human nature. And human nature, though varied, leaves trails. What does this person truly value, control, respect, certainty? How do they respond under stress, withdraw, lash out, deceive? Once you understand patterns, you understand power. And from there, influence is no longer a contest, it's a craft. When you truly see someone, you stop forcing outcomes. You guide them without resistance, because people don't need to be overpowered. They need to be understood. To make this a habit, try this. Before any big choice, pause. Ask, what will this mean in 10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years? Keep a journal of what if not to dwell, but to build agility, and after each decision, reflect. What did I expect, and what unfolded? This trains foresight, not as theory, but as muscle. Comment. Think ahead if this resonates, and subscribe to keep sharpening your edge. Because the strategist doesn't wait to be blindsided. He prepares to meet life not as a victim, but as a builder of futures. And now that you've begun to anticipate, it's time to master timing itself, knowing not just what to do, but when. Chapter 6. Strike at the right time. Have you ever known exactly what you needed to do, but did it at the wrong moment and watched everything slip away? It's a painful lesson. You had the vision, the will, even the plan, but your timing was off. And in strategy, that alone can make all the difference. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "No great thing is created suddenly," meaning it's not enough to act, you must act when the moment is ripe. The right move at the wrong time is still the wrong move. In a world that worships speed, patience has become a lost virtue. But strategic patience isn't passive, it's alert. The disciplined mind waits, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Like the archer who draws the bow, breathes, waits, and only then releases. Like the sailor who doesn't fight the sea, but studies the tide and catches the wave. That stillness is not inaction, it is preparation. Because timing is not about emotion, it's about position. Think of Titus, a man with a brilliant idea. While others rushed to launch similar projects, he stepped back. He studied the market, listened, refined. People said he was hesitating, but he wasn't. He was aligning. And when the need surged, he struck. Not early, not late, but right on time. His success wasn't louder, it was smarter. What gave him the edge? He understood leverage points, those rare windows when a small move shifts the entire game. These moments often appear after tension builds, when silence lingers, or when patterns shift. But to see them, you must be watching, not chasing feelings, but reading the field. Patterns never lie, emotions often do. Still, there's another danger: impulse. The temptation to act because you feel something, not because the time is right. The Stoic guards himself from this. He doesn't rush into decisions because of restlessness, ego, or urgency. He builds delay into his actions. He reflects. He lets the moment reveal itself. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Often that one question breaks the illusion of urgency and restores clarity. But just as dangerous as rushing is freezing. Some people overanalyze. They prepare endlessly, always waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect certainty. But life doesn't offer perfect. As Seneca said, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. You don't need 100% certainty to act. If you're 70% ready, move. Strategy requires motion, not perfection. You can steer a moving ship. You can't steer one anchored in hesitation. So where's the balance between stillness and speed, between reflection and response? It lies in the quiet discipline of readiness. When you've done the work, when you've studied the patterns, when the opening comes, you don't second guess. You strike with calm and precision, like a strategist who doesn't chase the game, but moves exactly when the rhythm is right. Because in the end, time is not your enemy, it's your ally, and when you stop rushing or freezing and start moving with intention, the world begins to meet you halfway. Now that you've learned to move at the right time, the next step is learning how to do more with less through the quiet power of leverage. Chapter 7. Win with less effort. Have you ever felt like you're working harder than everyone around you, yet somehow still falling behind? Like you're pushing a boulder uphill while others seem to glide with ease? It's not always about effort. Sometimes it's about position, about finding the right angle. The Stoics understood this well. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Leverage is how you stop wasting. It's the quiet force that lets you do more with less, not through shortcuts, but through clarity. Imagine a man named Julius. He spends 12 hours a day running his business, answering emails, chasing clients, fixing mistakes. He's exhausted. Then he meets someone who works half that time but earns twice as much. How? Systems, tools, delegation. Julius realizes that it's not about being the strongest, it's about using the right levers. Just like a simple jack can lift a car, the right strategy can multiply your output without multiplying your effort. Leverage begins with awareness. Where are you spending energy for little return? The 80-20 principle reveals that most of what matters comes from a few focused actions. Maybe it's the one client who brings in most of your income, or the one habit that boosts your clarity every morning. Strategic thinkers double down on those points. They automate what can be automated, eliminate what adds no value, and focus their energy where it yields the most return. Take time, for example. A woman named Livia builds her schedule around deep work. No noise, no multitasking. She groups calls into blocks, uses templates for emails, and keeps her daily priorities to 3 essential tasks. She doesn't do more. She does what matters, and that's leverage. Or Marcus, who once struggled to grow his side project. Then he partnered with someone who already had the audience. That one connection doubled his reach in a week. That wasn't luck. That was leverage through people. Epictetus reminds us, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Leverage isn't about adding, it's about subtracting what distracts. Tools are part of this. Instead of letting technology drain him, the strategist uses it to reduce noise. Automation handles the mundane. AI organizes thought. A spreadsheet becomes a second brain. Every tool, if used wisely, becomes a silent worker behind the scenes. But perhaps the most overlooked form of leverage is relationships. Not just networking, but investing in genuine connection. One conversation with the right mentor can replace a year of wandering. One act of generosity can forge a bond that returns 100-fold. Relationships aren't shortcuts, they're bridges. And every bridge you build expands your reach. Leverage is not about being lazy, it's about being deliberate. You can dig a trench with a spoon or with an excavator. Both are work, but only one is wise. So stop asking how to do more. Ask what you can build once and use again. Ask what effort compounds, what turns today's work into tomorrow's freedom. Because in the end, the strategist isn't the one who burns out. He's the one who builds well. And now that you've seen how to win with less force, let's take the next step, adapting with strength when the game suddenly shifts. Chapter 8. Adapt without breaking. What do you do when the path beneath your feet vanishes without warning, when the map you trusted no longer matches the landscape? Many freeze, resist, or retreat. But the Stoic strategist adjusts, because they understand one truth: reality doesn't care about your plan. It rewards those who can bend without breaking. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Adaptability isn't a concession. It's command of the self, even when the world shifts beneath you. Picture a man named Aurelius, a builder preparing for a massive structure. He gathered the finest tools, the clearest blueprint. But a week before the foundation was set, the land cracked from beneath due to a hidden fault line. His apprentices panicked. Aurelius did not. He paused, observed, and shifted the entire design to build on firmer ground. He didn't argue with change, he danced with it. That is agility, holding your purpose steady while your method flows. Strategic agility begins by embracing the unexpected, not as chaos, but as part of the rhythm of life. You don't control the tide, but you learn to adjust your sail. When plans collapse, the agile mind asks, not, "Why is this happening?" but "What can I do with this now?" This shift, this ability to update your mental map without fear, is the foundation of intelligent action. And when the time calls for decisions in real time, the Stoic doesn't panic. They engage calmly, like a swordsman adjusting mid-duel. They see, they decide, they act. This is not guesswork, it's practiced. Agility is sharpened by reflection, by knowing what matters most, and by creating small rituals that keep you steady when the world tilts. Even in uncertainty, your vision remains. You revise the route, not the destination. And when feedback arrives, even in the form of loss, you don't see it as defeat. You see it as a compass. Take Netflix. They didn't cling to mailing DVDs when the winds changed. They streamed, then they created, then they dominated. Or consider a young artist who lost all gallery access during a lockdown, but pivoted to digital commissions and tripled her audience. These weren't random acts of luck. They were movements born from clarity and flexibility working as one. So when the storm comes, and it will, you won't need to scramble. You'll already be in motion, adjusting, adapting, evolving. Because the Stoic strategist doesn't need everything to go as planned. They just need to remain present enough to meet reality head-on and wise enough to respond with grace. And from this place of calm movement, they prepare to wield the invisible power of influence. Chapter 9. Influence without force. Have you ever entered a conversation and sensed, without needing to speak, that the balance of power was already shifting? Influence is not noise, it's not domination, it's the silent strength that shapes outcomes, while others are still trying to explain themselves. True Stoic strategy begins where brute force ends, inside the mind. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." To influence others, you must first hold mastery over your own impulses, your own speech, your own silence. A skilled strategist does not impose, they align. They read the room not to manipulate, but to understand. Imagine a Roman statesman named Cassian sent to negotiate peace between rivaling regions. He didn't begin with threats or promises. He began by asking questions that revealed fear, pride, and hidden motives. He spoke only after listening, and when he finally did, he used their own values as the foundation for agreement. He didn't bend others to his will. He offered them a reflection of what they already sought, shaped in a form they hadn't considered. The Stoic doesn't sway through charm, but through clarity. They influence because they've observed. They use language that lands not where the ears listen, but where the conscience dwells. The strategist notices who seeks validation, who fears irrelevance, who desires to be seen as strong, and then, without deception, they speak to those truths. But influence without ethics is corruption, and the Stoic never uses knowledge to enslave. They use it to build, to guide, to elevate. You don't trick people into movement, you offer them direction that already matches their deeper longing. Influence is persuasion rooted in mutual respect, not control, but coherence. So when you speak, speak like someone who understands the human soul. When you act, act like someone who values the dignity of others. That is the invisible edge. Now, carry this power forward, because the next step is what turns silent power into real momentum, execution. Chapter 10. Turn thought into action. Have you ever stood at the edge of a plan so well thought out, so precise, and yet felt the weight of still being in the same place, like a ship built with brilliance but never pushed from shore? That is where most lives get stuck, not in thought, but in movement. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And in the same spirit, strategy without execution is nothing more than elegant hesitation. The Stoic doesn't confuse clarity with completion. They know that discipline, not inspiration, carries the weight of real change. A plan is only as good as its smallest repeated action. Lucius, a builder of ideas, once sketched an entire business model over 3 months, perfect in theory. But it was only when he committed to 1 hour of daily outreach, writing 1 letter a day, scheduling 1 meeting a week, that vision became foundation. His results didn't come from bursts, but from rhythm. So execution is not about heroic effort, it's about reliable structure, systems anchored in intention, habits that reflect what matters, not just what's convenient. The Stoic strategist breaks a mountain into steps, then steps into them. They don't chase speed, they chase alignment. And when they reflect, they do so not to judge, but to sharpen. They track not to control, but to understand. They adapt not out of insecurity, but out of wisdom. Here's your quiet reminder. You don't need louder dreams. You need stronger follow-through. The one who builds something meaningful in this life is not the one who starts with the biggest ambition, but the one who returns to it day after day, like tending a flame. This is where everything you've gathered takes form, thought into action, strategy into transformation. Now you've reached the final piece, and from here, your path is no longer a question of knowing, it's a matter of doing. Let the journey begin. You've just walked through the mindset of a true strategist, not by theory, but by perspective, purpose, and power. Strategic thinking isn't a trick. It's a way of living with clarity, calm, and quiet control. Let it shape how you move from this moment on. If this message spoke to you, stay and subscribe for more. And share below your best insight. Your next challenge will come. Meet it not with reaction, but with wisdom. In the next video, we go even deeper.